Let's conserve energy. We have a lot of information to go over. It's a very dynamic system. If you have any questions, please do not be shy. Just raise your hand and I'll answer them. Okay, so we're going to place a spotlight on our grid. This photo's awesome. So, okay. We're going to have a journey through our grid right now. Enjoy it. Okay, so the grid is a spectacular feat. It's the largest interconnected machine on Earth. It's considered the most significant engineering achievement of all time, and of course of the 20th century. Just look at it at night. You can just see how it lights up all of our country. It's truly, truly impressive. It includes more than 300,000 miles of transmission lines, 9,200 electric generating units, and it has 1 million megawatts of carrying capacity. So it's spectacular, just extremely impressive. However, it also has many problems. It's a 20th century grid, and we now live in the 21st century. We have new demands. So the outdated grid costs the U.S. economy $206 billion per year. That includes in outages, which cause inefficiencies to companies. Let's say the power is out, a brokerage company can't, sell stock. A, imaging company can't take photos. So it also takes $1 trillion off of our GDP. So our GDP is like $15 trillion. We're losing another trillion because of this grid that we have. And our grid currently loses about 8% of the power that is produced in the transmission lines. So terrible, terrible waste. Just as a note, if we were just 5% more efficient, it would be equal to eliminating 53 million cars. So it's just an incredible amount. So as I was saying before, this is the 20th century grid that we're still using. It reflects a time when energy was cheap, when the environment was not a concern, and getting consumers to be proactive was not necessarily beneficial. And consumers didn't really care. Just as an analogy, 125 years ago, both the telecom and electrical industries began to emerge. So you had Alexander Graham Bell developing his stuff, Edison, Tesla, and Westinghouse developing the electrical system. If you were to bring Alexander Graham Bell here today, he would be just shocked. He wouldn't understand how digital phones work, how cell phones work, how smartphones work. These cell phone towers, what are they? However, if you would bring Edison here, he would be able to look at a pole, transmission pole, and understand how electricity is being generated, transformed, and brought into our household. So, it's shocking. So we take advantage of our grid. There's not enough investment, and there's way too much demand. Air conditioners, electronics, population growth. Just think about, over the past 40 years, computers, cameras, iPods, everything, all these little accessories that demand more and more from our grid. Yet, our utility companies and our government are not investing enough in it. So, since 1982, the growth in peak demand for electricity has exceeded transmission growth by almost 25% every year, which is astounding. And just spending is not keeping up. So, the dog food industry actually invests more in research and development than our own electricity industry. It just shows what our priorities are. It's a shame. So this lack of innovation, as I was saying before, causes frequent blackouts, vulnerability towards hackers, and extreme inefficiency. Okay, so the Department of Energy claims that this once state-of-the-art system brought a level of prosperity to the United States, unmatched by any other nation in the world. But a 21st century US economy cannot be built on a 20th century grid. And yes?
When was the original grid built?
It's been built since Edison, so over the past 125 years. So it's just been expanding. But the rate of expansion has decreased dramatically in recent years.
Gotcha.
So we need a more intelligent grid. The smart grid would reduce the loss of electricity during transportation, it would identify outages, it would improve monitoring, control capabilities of the system, it would make the grid resilient and reliable, and it would provide real-time information to end consumers to allow them to better manage their electricity use. I'm going to go more into detail in the slides to come. So, in order to get all this information, the grid was going to have sensors, meters, digital controls, analytical tools, interstate lines. So basically, what we're doing is we're adding a communication aspect to our grid. So we understand what is going on with the movement of electricity throughout the nation and within our households.
I'm curious. So the current infrastructure that we have in terms of lines and things, we would be leaving that, but we would be sort of adding this communications piece on top of it.
Right,
Awesome.
right. We would be retrofitting
Nice.
our current, as well as adding more,
Sure.
of course, to meet current demand. But our transformers, our transmission lines, don't have all these sensors or digital controls or modern techniques. It's I'll explain more later, but it's a shame. So, as I said at the beginning, this is a very dynamic system. This is a quick layout, but just to show you, it's very, very complex. Okay, so as we know in the information age, knowledge is equal to power. The internet has shown that. Founders of Wikipedia claim that. They want to give information out there, make sure everybody knows what's going on and has a say. But, no pun intended, power, we want the utilities to know what's going on, we want consumers to know what's going on, we want businesses to know what's going on, so we can make better decisions with our electricity in order to conserve and know where to invest. So there's a new attitude from consumers, from just passive ratepayers to informed ones. We're concerned about the environment, we're concerned about rising energy prices, and we know that technology has advanced so much in the past 40 years, but nothing has changed with our grid. The interface, we still get a monthly bill, which I'll go into detail. Today, there's no continuous stream of communication between the utility and the consumer. For example, our grid, our meter at home, it is not directly connected to the utility. There's no stream of communication. They need to send out a man to read the meter and then mark it down and go back. If, in this rainstorm right now, a tree falls, boom, transmission line goes down, the utility company does not know the transmission line went down until a consumer calls and says, I have a power outage. This is just primitive. Right now, also, okay, anyways, there's no continuous stream of communication. The utility does not know how much electricity we want or are using, so they do not know demand. As a result, they produce significant excess amount of electricity. As you can see here, the blue line shows everything under the curve is the production produced at any given moment over the day. The white is the excess power, and the gray is the power that we're consuming. So look at just how much electricity is being wasted. Electricity is an on-demand commodity. The electricity that we're using right now, that this projector is using, is produced just instants ago. So this is terrible. Right here, look, like 50% is being wasted of the electricity produced.